When I get an intake call from someone who's asking if I work with codependency, I don't know why, but my first thought is female. But the truth is, there's a lot of men who struggle with codependency as well. Codependency, people pleasing, those kinds of behaviors. But the way men and women are socialized is so different that women are able to find others to talk about it. It's seen more as a nurturing thing with some women. And with men, when they struggle with this, men are socialized the exact opposite. Keep quiet, stuff your feelings, just keep doing. But stuffing your feelings doesn't mean that you don't feel them. You do feel them, and the inability to talk about them, to be vulnerable, prevents a lot of guys from working through it, getting over it. And they continue carrying these behaviors into long-term relationships, and they're the ones who are completely speechless when one day their wife just says, "I'm done. I don't want to be married anymore." And the reason they're just so overwhelmed by it is because they didn't see it coming, because their whole idea, the idea of being codependency, is you do more. You get your self-esteem from caretaking with others, taking care of them, doing what they want. There's usually a component of people pleasing because you don't want to risk abandonment. So I want to go through some of the symptoms for you guys so you can decide if, first of all, this is an issue for you. Because once again, your inability to talk about it or feel safe talking about it or to be vulnerable because of the way society thinks about men, treats men, I think confuses men whether or not they even have this. So first of all, the type of partner you're going to look for is someone who's clingy. Someone who's clingy to you, really likes you, but yet is demanding and jealous and oftentimes very critical of you. And how it presents is you feel really bad about yourself. You have a low self-esteem, and that makes sense because you're always breaking promises. It's not who you know you want to be when you continue doing this behavior. You don't feel worthwhile anymore. The people pleasing starts because this is a way you can get close to people. You feel needed, you feel necessary. And when you're people pleasing, basically what you're doing is you're securing yourself as to being that person they can never leave. Because if you have codependency, you start feeling like you're an easy person to abandon. You're a target. A lot of these guys will call themselves nice guys. They're nice guys because they're always thinking and doing for others, not themselves. But remember, they can't feel the feelings anymore. So with emotional intimacy, they're very numb, and they can even present as indifferent or aloof. They have difficulty setting boundaries. They can't say, I'm drawing the line in the sand. If you don't like it, you can leave. This is not the kind of guy who can say this. And the reason is because he's terrified of abandonment. In most cases, he wants things to work out. He wants to be with this person. Caretaking, he derives a lot of his sense of purpose, of worth, in taking care of others. And dependency, he basically feels a dependency on others. He needs other people to feel good about himself. So other symptoms that you might see if you say, well, I really don't have those. Well, you might have difficulty expressing emotions because once again, the numbing is taken over. You've stuffed it so long. Difficulty making decisions. If you go out to eat and you can never decide what you're going to get, then you could possibly have this disorder or these kinds of behavior patterns, a fear of abandonment, struggling to identify what you feel. You've basically not admitted to feeling anything for so long that it almost feels like you're lost, like the feelings, you don't even know where they are or what they would represent. There's a submissiveness or a neediness or clingy behavior starting in you. And when you notice that, that is really scary, because men do not like feeling this way. Men want to be in charge. They want to feel capable. They want to know the way. They don't want to feel lost and vulnerable, trying to control others. And I've seen this at an extreme. Pretty soon you start manipulating in an effort to control others so you won't be left, and prioritizing others' needs in front of yours all the time. The good news, guys, is you do not have to live with this, but you do have to practice alternative behaviors. Because even if you're coming out of a failed marriage and you go, I am lost, I don't even know myself, if you start practicing, I promise you're going to feel better about yourself. The first person you need to impress again is yourself. So first of all, identify what you need. Identify your needs. And if you don't know what they are, journal. Ask your journal, what am I missing? Write down words, a sense of companionship, a sense of acceptance, a sense of belonging. These are typical for someone who feels lost, like they've suppressed their feelings so long they no longer know how they feel. Then talk to your significant other or the person, the one person you have a relationship. Remember, you cannot have a relationship with just yourself. To work out issues, you need another person, because you can't do enough self-talk back and forth and fix yourself. So you might be able to fix a lot of things, but you cannot fix yourself without talking to another person. When you talk to the other person, use I statements. Don't say you make me feel this way. Say, I feel belittled. I feel like I'm replaceable. I don't feel like I'm a priority with you. Say things that are how you feel without saying you make me. When you start owning it, you're going to start feeling better. You're going to have spoken up. And you guys, you won't believe, you'll start feeling more confident and courageous. And then listen. Try to listen without cutting your partner off. Don't go into that defensive place. Stay away from stonewalling. If they get insulting, then once again advocate for yourself and say, you know what? I'm going to do a timeout now because I love you too much, or I care about myself enough that I don't want to get abused with this. I want to be honest, but I don't want to risk getting abused or feeling abused. And then avoid blame. When you're talking, take responsibility for your part. It's going to make them respect you. And remember, respect is essential in feeling your masculinity and your manliness and to being a good person. Acknowledge that you can have different ideas. It's a difficult topic. Don't minimize it. Don't say, well, it was no big deal, I shouldn't have brought it up. Rather say, I understand the complexity of this. I understand the complexity, and I want to work with you to try and problem solve, but let's come back to it tomorrow. The more you're able to practice those skills, the better you're going to get at taking over yourself again, getting out of that codependency role and becoming a man that you can admire. And that is the very beginning of getting over a bad behavior pattern of codependency. If this video is helpful for you, please subscribe. And if you're already a subscriber, thank you so much.